Welcome to the Papa Report. I'm Rebecca Powers. So happy to be with you again this week with John Papa, who started DPS Advisors Securing Tomorrow's Future today. Good to see you, John.
Hey, Rebecca. How are you? How's everything going?
Great. Let's start by explaining what DPS stands for, because it's pretty neat what it stands for. It's kind of your whole strategy.
Yeah, it's Diversified Planning Strategies. That's how we came up with that name 36 years ago.
Yes. Let's talk about, we hear, of course, with the news and the market volatility, people are saying, what is your risk tolerance? What is your risk tolerance? First of all, what the heck does that even really mean? Right. And how do you decide that for your individual client?
Right. Well, that's a great question, Rebecca. And actually, I don't decide it for the client. I'm actually sitting with them and showing them tools that we use to measure how much risk you're taking in your portfolio. And I'm saying to them, how much money are you willing to lose? Yeah. Okay. So if we look at a portfolio for example, of a $100,000 portfolio and the investments that they have, that portfolio can go down in the 2008 market crash if that were to happen again.
Right.
It goes down 25, 30%. I'll say to them, is that enough risk for you? Is that too much risk for you?
Right.
Can you sleep at night knowing your portfolio could go down 30% in a year?
Wow.
And if their answer is no, then they're taking on too much risk. So it's not my answer, it's their answer, and it's different for every person. Some people can say, yeah, listen, this is my growth money, I don't need it. I can withstand those because I'm not touching the money. Yeah. So it really depends on the person, but my definition, and I advise clients on, is how much money are you willing to lose in a given year? That's the definition of risk.
And then you can tweak it, and there are ways you can...
There's ways you can tweak it, switch some investments around to lower that risk, and show them that if the 2008 market crash happened again, it could be a 20% loss. Is that risk acceptable to you?
Right.
So you pick and choose investment strategies based on what the client says, and they're building this portfolio with you. And there are tools out there that we use like Riskalyze and Morningstar that can show this stuff to clients, and they can make a better decision with their money. Like our whiteboard says in our conference room, we educate and empower people so that they can make better decisions with their hard-earned money. I'm not telling anybody to do anything. Yeah. We're going to design this plan together and then implement it together.
Absolutely. And together, you wrote this wonderful book with your sweet dad.
Yes.
The late Mr. Michael Papa. And it really shows the 7 traps that you should avoid, because you and your dad were seeing this, people making the same mistakes over and over in these traps. And so you came up with the 3 investment worlds. I love how you simplify things.
Right. So what we're trying to do, Rebecca, is after having, thousands of appointments with people, because I've been in this business a long time, 36 years. So we've met a lot of great people. Yeah. And you hear the constant stories about what they're doing and what's going on in their financial life. And we've noticed that a lot of them are the same mistakes. So when we're talking about risk, like right now, we talk about risk and how much are you willing to lose in your portfolio. And they say to you, well, that's too much risk for me. How do I actually protect my assets?
Yeah.
I hear protect your assets, 60-40 balanced portfolio. That's not a diversified portfolio. Yeah. That is, all your money is in a world called Wall Street. So we separate the investments into the 3 different worlds.
Okay.
Bank money, it has its own specific purpose. Emergency fund, need instant cash right away, liquid. I'm not going to get a lot of growth in it, probably if any growth, right? And that's the world of that money. Put some money there.
Safe money.
Safe money.
Okay.
There's a middle world called the insurance world, okay? They offer different types of annuity contracts. I know annuities has a really bad name, but there are great products inside that you can use, and we'll tell you the pros and cons of each one of them, and that'll give you safe money as well and better growth than what the banks are giving you. Okay. And then you use the Wall Street world for growth, for long-term growth, so you're not making panic decisions in times like today where the market's down 25% year to date. You're not making panic decisions. That's your growth money. We're leaving that out there. Most of the client's assets, for example, again, go back to that $100,000 portfolio. If we take 10 grand and leave it in the bank for liquidity, take 40,000, put it in the insurance world for protection, but a little bit better growth, then I'm putting 50,000 in Wall Street. Half of that person's portfolio cannot go down regardless of what's going on in the markets, or regardless of what's going on in inflation, world issues.
Right.
Half of their money can't go down. The growth bucket is what can go up and down, and they're okay with that because that's long-term money. So those are the kind of things. That's why we created this 3 investment world discussion. Our clients love it. They love looking at it. They love figuring out how much they want to put in each one of them. And, we make it fun. That's what it's all about.
So you're really just their advisor, kind of walking in, but they make the decision in the end.
I work for the client, and the client knows that from the get-go. They don't work for me. I don't tell them what to do. They tell me what to do after we explain everything about what's going on in their financial life. So they'll make the decisions once we educate and empower them, and then they can make decisions knowing it's right for them.
And it really
we just
is.
implement it.
Exactly, and it really is about the relationship
Right.
and trust.
And communication, relationship. We communicate all the time with our clients. I've told you a bunch of times, my clients have my cell number.
That's
They know how to
amazing.
get in touch with me. I don't care if it's 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night, 2 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. If they're calling me or texting me and I can answer, I'm going to answer.
Yeah.
My wife knows that.
Well, you bring home the buck, so she doesn't mind. What do you think? Is there any question that's too small? Do people call you and say, John, should I buy this car? I mean, should I send my daughter to school here? I mean, it's...
Well, that question might sound small to us, people in the business,
Yeah.
financial advisors and stuff, that may be small to us, but that's a huge question for that person.
Yeah.
So I'll answer that question. I'll help them, decide leasing, buying. We'll get involved and help them with that. Again, it's just showing them pros and cons of every different situation, and use whatever tool in the toolbox you want to use and make sure it works for you.
Do you have people now who are saying, I wish I had known and met you sooner?
It's happened a little bit. Yeah, if I do say so. Yeah, it's happened.
And you also have multi-generational,
Yeah, like my son's, like we talked about before, my son's just graduated college, coming into the business, third generation. My father would have been really proud if he was here, to see that. So we started this practice, again, 36 years ago, and he'd be really proud if he knew Luke was in.
Yeah,
So.
and you also have multi-generational clients.
Yeah, we manage clients' assets, their children's assets. I'm dating my age now, but I've even got some grandkids accounts for clients. But yeah, so we love it.
That's awesome. Now let's talk about the tax benefits of moving things around and tweaking and the advice that you give, because tax, as we know, we don't think taxes are going down. So what are the benefits of kind of paying taxes now instead of later?
I mean, again, when you talk about taxes, you're really talking about taxes on qualified plans and IRA distributions.
Okay.
And if a person's not age 72, where they've hit the required minimum distribution age, then they have some flexibility. We can take some money, carve it out, and pay in a lower tax bracket now, because Rebecca, in today's tax code of married filing jointly tax return, you can declare up to $315,000 of income and still be in a 24% tax bracket.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, that's going to be there. The tax code is expected to change in 2025, so who knows what the rules are going to be then. But for right now, we're showing Roth conversion strategies to pay a little bit of tax now, move it into a Roth IRA for all future growth and revenue income tax-free.
Yeah.
To you, the client, and to your kids and grandchildren. So again, looking at their tax returns, making sure it's right for them, going over the pros and cons of the strategy, and see if it works. We do it a lot. It works for a lot of people. Everybody should be looking at, if you're not of retired RMD age, you should be looking at a Roth conversion.
Yeah, RMD, by the way, is
required minimum distribution.
Minimum distribution, and that happens at age 72. And at age 59 and a half, you have taught me you could do something pretty great.
Right. If you're still working at a company in a 401k plan, some plans allow, actually most plans allow at 59 and a half to do an in-service rollover. Means you can take the money out, transfer it to an IRA in your name, no taxable event, no penalties, no taxes, no cost, and then move it to your IRA. And then you can talk about a multitude of different investment options. Because a 401k, you're limited to what the plan offers.
Right.
An IRA, you have everything. You can invest in anything.
That's fantastic. And the fact that you're an independent advisor means you could pick from any tool in the world instead of just one.
Right, any tool in the toolbox. I use the analogy of Home Depot. We talked about it a bunch of times on our show. We're the Home Depot as a fiduciary. We don't just have one hammer, one shovel. I have aisles worth of hammers and shovels. Let's figure out which one works for the client, which one's best for them.
And they need to meet you first to figure this out.
Right,
so let's give them the number and tell them what we're offering today for the first 10 callers.
Right, Rebecca. So we're offering for the first 15 callers an introduction to what we call our Diversified Planning Strategies Report. This report's going to give you a 5-point review of all the things that can affect you in retirement or even before you retire. Risk analysis, taxes on qualified plans, market volatility, Social Security checkup. Have you taken Social Security yet? It'll introduce you to strategies that can lead you to a stress-free retirement. So all you need to do is dial 844-534-4452. Members of our team are waiting. They're waiting to get you a date on the calendar to get you to the Diversified Planning Strategies Report, which will eventually lead to a stress-free retirement, which is what we're all looking to do.
Absolutely. And again, it's a complimentary portfolio analysis if you want to learn more about how you can retire right and sooner than you might think. Stay with us.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have by running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go? And who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review today.
Welcome back to the Papa Report. I'm Rebecca Powers. Always enjoy my time here with John Papa. And remember, you can catch him on the radio as well on the weekends for popular demand. That is on 970 AM The Answer on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. as well as Sunday at 1 p.m. And you also have written this wonderful book. And when you come in to meet John and his team, he will be happy to share this with you. I think it's so precious that you and your dad wrote this together.
Right.
Right before he passed away.
Yep, we did it. We wrote that book a few years ago, so yeah, but we're proud of that book.
And you chose, I love the title, The Retirement Traps, avoiding the retirement traps.
Right.
Did you see the same kind of over and over?
Right. Again, being in the business so long, we've had a lot of client meetings over our lives, and we just kept seeing the same mistakes. So I said, why don't we just write about it a little bit? You know, become an author. Like, that was the cool thing to do. So we wrote about it.
Add that to your list?
Yeah, did my bucket list, wrote a book. And we wrote about it, just really our real life experiences with clients for the last 36 years.
And that's how it's different. You're not speaking over anyone's head.
No.
You kept it nice and short.
The grammar is probably bad in there, too,
who cares?
just so you know.
But I think that's why people relate to you, you know, so much.
Right.
I really do. Okay, so diversified planning strategies. I want everyone at home to understand what that means.
Right. It's basically, you know, being diversified in your portfolio, planning, make sure you have a plan, because having a list of or a bunch of statements is not a plan. That's just investments. So, and strategies. You know, what strategies are you using to implement your retirement plan or your investment plan? It doesn't have to be just retirement. It could be, you know, hey, I got 10 years to go. I want to invest some money growth-wise. You know, what's the plan? What's the strategy? So we took the name because that's kind of what we do with each client. We're going to diversify your portfolio. We're going to create a plan, and we're going to put some strategies together. That's what that's why we came up with it.
And you said each client because everyone is completely different.
There's no cookie cutter portfolio mixes. It's different for everybody. Some people, they have issues with income. Some people have issues with market volatility, risk in their portfolio, fees that they're paying. So it depends on what the client situation is, you know. And we get to know that by just having conversations with clients.
Yeah.
And when they come in, you know, in the beginning, we might not even look at statements in the first meeting. Don't bring a statement. Come in, have a cup of coffee, sit down. We're going to introduce ourselves to you. You come meet us, and we'll just see what's going on in your life, your financial life, right? And we'll talk about different things. What are you trying to accomplish? What do you have set up already to try and accomplish your goals? And as a fiduciary, if what you have is good, then we're going to tell you that. We have to. Our license dictates that. Right. So getting a second opinion from somebody like us, like me, you know, you're not going to be pressured into making changes if they're not in your best interest. Right. Because a fiduciary can't do that.
That's right. And again, I know I seem to be bashing the big boxes, but if you haven't heard from your person in a year, and that happened to me personally, so I do kind of have an issue with it. There were hidden fees that they didn't tell me about. They didn't ask me my hopes and dreams. Wow. And I think that's kind of what we've all just become programmed to accept.
Right. We had a couple come in a week or two ago, and they were telling me about their retirement plan. They were afraid of running out of money. And I said to them, first thing, let's talk about what your expenses are. And we went through their budget. We did a whole budget thing with them. And after a month, I told him, write down everything you're spending for a month. I don't want to know what your presumed budget is. I want you to know, what are you spending?
Awesome.
And we got an actual budget. And I said, okay, so what does your advisor advise you on how you could create income for that, minus your Social Security and pension? They're like, well, he has it. I go, has he talked about inflation? Like, no, inflation's nowhere in any of this conversation.
Wow.
So I said, you have to factor in inflation, because at the inflation rate we're in right now, you know, at 9.1% or whatever the number is right now, your expenses are going to double in 8 years. And most people live about 18 years in retirement. So so if you have $60,000 in expenses 8 years from now, it's going to be $160,000.
Right.
What's your
Wow.
plan for that? And that's part of the whole diversified planning strategies. Let's create a plan and a strategy that's diversified,
Right.
and accomplish that goal that we're trying to accomplish.
Because the worst thing in the world would be you worked all these years, you're going to retire, but you have to sell your big, beautiful house,
Right.
or
And-
change your lifestyle.
Or move in with your kids, which is even worse. I've seen that too before, Rebecca.
Really? Because
Yeah.
if someone comes to you a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
too late.
A little too late. It's too late. They didn't plan.
Boy, how different is the world today than when your parents and my parents were younger? They had the pension, they knew what to expect.
Right.
That is such
Today it's almost like a crapshoot.
Right.
You talk, most of the older people that come into our offices, they do have the pension from whatever company they worked for.
Good.
So that's great. They have two sources of guaranteed income: the pension and Social Security.
good.
Those days are over. Like the
Yeah.
next generation of kids coming up, you know, my age and a little younger, there's the 401k. You know, in 1978, the government got basically rid of pensions. The corporations were complaining about how much the pensions cost, so they got Congress to change the laws, and they created the 401k.
Terrible.
So now they put all of the pressure on the employee, who never had to contribute to a pension plan, but now they have to contribute some of their money, and they have to pick their own investments, their own financial advisor.
And we've
now.
never had training on this. This
No,
is what
there's-
is literally mind-blowing to
No
me.
training
Okay,
at all.
America, go out and do this.
Good luck.
But you've never taught us this.
Good luck. Thanks, Congress. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you,
1978.
Congress.
That was a great year.
1978.
Thank you.
Who was that? Jimmy Carter. Okay. Well, we won't talk politics
no,
because we'll really pull our hair out if we
Yes,
start doing
exactly.
that. Okay. So some of the other traps. I think the biggest thing you have taught me, John, is that people without a plan, how can you get anything in the world done if you don't have a plan?
You can't. It's like a builder building a house, right? So if you bought a piece of property, you want to build your vacation home or your regular home, your first home, you can't build it without a plan. You need to go to an architect. They're going to design the plan in writing, signed off on people to the inch.
To the inch.
Even more than that, Rebecca.
Yeah, the
If it's to
centimeter.
the inch, that might fall down still. To the millimeter,
Yeah.
they're going to design a plan, and the builder will build off that plan. So you look at ourselves as we're builders, but we
Yeah.
can't build anything if I don't have a plan. And having investments is not a plan.
Right.
You come in with a statement from one of the big box firms, that's not a plan.
No.
That's an investment. That's all that
That's
is.
just one piece.
That's one piece
of what could be your plan.
Right.
And
What is your plan is what we go over in every case.
when we hear the word diversified, as a layperson, I always just think diversified in stocks and bonds.
Right.
But you're saying you can be diversified across the board.
Right. Diversified in stocks and bonds is not a diversified portfolio. You're
Okay.
just spreading the risk around in different categories.
Okay.
Because the different categories of risk are interest rate risk, market risk, inflationary risk, liquidity risk. So that's just different types of risk. And if you look at the portfolios today, people were using bonds in that 60-40 mix thinking they were diversified, but that portfolio is down over 20% this year. Because why? We're in a rising interest rate environment because the Federal Reserve is trying to control inflation, which they should be doing,
Yeah.
right? But what that does is crushes the bond market. So people were using bonds for safe haven. The bonds are down 10-15% today. We call it like the perfect storm of investing right now.
Wow.
Markets are going down. Bonds are going down. Safe havens going down. Money in the banks getting crushed by inflation at 9% or whatever they say it is.
Yeah.
Okay, which is, we think it's more than that.
Sure.
But, so every category of investment strategy in that investment world, that Wall Street world, is going down.
Wow.
That's the perfect storm of investing. That's not a diversified portfolio.
No, not at all. All right, let's take a very short break. We're here with John Papa, learning all we want to know about how you can retire as soon as you can, and really to retire right. Let's tell them what we're offering today, John.
Right. So, folks, if you dial 844-534-4452, we're going to get a date on the calendar with you. We're going to introduce you to the Diversified Planning Strategies Report. It's our DPS report. And in this report, you're going to get a 5-point review on all of the things that can affect your retirement. We're all trying to lead a stress-free retirement, okay? You want to make sure that you have the right tax strategy in place, the right income plan in place, market risk, market volatility. Are you taking too much risk, okay? This DPS report will help you learn that information and help you make changes so that you can lead the stress-free retirement. So dial 844-534-4452. Get a date in the calendar. Our team is ready. It's no obligation, complimentary, no risk, no stress. Just come on in and get a date on the calendar.
Absolutely. And stay with us. We'll be right back.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back to the Papa Report. I have heard that all of your clients just adore you and your family because it truly is this, relationship. Your
Family
wife,
atmosphere we have.
Yeah, your wife is there
Yep.
and your son's getting ready to join you. Give me some of those stories that make you sleep so great at night because you know you're doing good.
Right. So, we love what we do. We're excited to do what we do. I get a little emotional about it. I get excited. People say my hands start flying because you're basically changing people's lives, okay?
Yes.
And you're helping people accomplish their dreams and goals. And, it happens all the time in our practice. And just doing the right thing for clients, it makes you feel good at night. It allows you to sleep at night, and everyone's happy. And that's what a stress-free retirement is supposed to be. So I'll give you an example. I had to do a Zoom call a couple of weeks ago with a couple who are retired to the Jersey Shore. Okay, I'm up in my office in Caldwell on a Zoom meeting, and they're trying to figure out, should they turn on Social Security or not, or will they need assets to create income for them. So we did a whole analysis on their income streams and what their expenses were. And when you show them that, hey, we're going to go into the three different investment worlds, use the tools that we put in place years ago, and here's how it's going to spell out so that you're 66 now, we're going to have assets till you're over 106. And they were like, wow, that is, so we don't have to worry. I'm like, absolutely not. Go have a cocktail, have one on me. I wish I was there with you. But the look on their faces was just like relief. And we get that a lot in our office.
And joy.
Yeah, really. Stress-free retirement.
And when you say to your 106, what that tells me is it's telling them that you will have something to leave for your children.
Right. And we do legacy planning with people. Yeah, because everyone, they joke around saying, oh, I'm going to die with no money. That's a joke.
Right.
Because that can't happen.
Right.
It's impossible to time your death the day you have no money, right? So there always is a leaving on to your children and grandchildren. So our job is to say, okay, how much can we leave? Because we still have to make sure we can live our own lives, right? And am I going to leave a taxable bill to them with those qualified plans? Or can we leave them Roth IRA money and they get a tax-free inheritance?
Right.
That's the key and stuff that we do with clients.
Because if you don't do that, you're kind of paying taxes on it when you get it, then paying taxes on it when you take it out, then paying taxes when you give it to your children.
It's like if you show a client, we talk about this all the time. If you're a 35-year-old and you put $5,000 a year away to 65 when you retire, that's $155,000 you got a tax deduction for. And then your distributions over your lifetime will be about $500,000 that you're going to pay taxes on.
Right.
And there's still $600,000 left in that plan to go to your kids. They have to pay taxes on it. So my question to every client when they have these qualified monies is, why is it good? Tell me how it's good that you got a deduction on 155, but your family, you and your family is going to pay taxes on 1.2 $2 million, basically.
Right.
Is that a good deal? Who's that a good deal for?
The government.
The government, exactly. So those are the kind of things we do. And when you can make adjustments and changes for the younger people, you're telling them you should be looking at Roth stuff, Roth 401k, Roth IRA. For the older people, if you're below 72, you have options and flexibility. We talked about it a little while ago. Look at that Roth conversion strategy. The way the tax code is set up right now, you can convert in a 24% tax bracket on a lot of money and move it into a tax-free environment. Pay a little tax now to get all future growth and inheritance tax-free later. That's a stress-free retirement.
Is there some type of product that you have seen that you kind of like if someone says, I think I will need long-term care?
Yeah, long-term care is the best way to fund, an assisted living or nursing home situation, but it's not the cheapest. And a lot of people, it costs a lot of money to buy a long-term care policy. Back when they first came out 20 years ago, they didn't know what the rates were going to be because they didn't know what the explosion of the longevity. So they were cheap back then. Now it's really, really expensive. So there's got to be, you look at some other tools as well, but long-term care policy is the best one, but it's really expensive.
So
really
it's best to focus on keeping the money that you have and be secure into your retirement.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Well, we only have a minute left, believe it or not. You were so interesting.
Another fast day, Rebecca. Another fast show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we want to thank everyone at home for joining us. Make sure you call this number. Again, this is no obligation, complimentary portfolio analysis. There are just a few spots left for appointments this week. If you want to go ahead and invite our viewers to come on in.
Like we say at the end of every show, dial 844-534-4452. Get a date on the calendar. We're going to introduce you to the Diversified Planning Strategies Report. This DPS report, what we call it, is a 5-point review on all the things that can affect you in retirement. Market volatility, risk, income planning, fees in your portfolio, everything that can affect you. We want to help you with a stress-free retirement. So dial the number 844-534-4452. Get your DPS report and start leading a stress-free retirement. That's what we're all about at Diversified Planning Strategies Advisors.
Absolutely. Thank you, John. And if your current advisor is not asking you these questions, having these conversations about inflation and your dreams and your goals, you definitely need a second opinion, and John is the man to give it. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. We hope to see you again next week.